Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing amazing. Welcome back to Thrive with Liv P. I hope everybody's doing great. So today we are going to discuss a little bit about the Bob Marley movie and just Bob Marley in general, I think. So I watched this movie about 2 weeks ago. I didn't have time to do a review, but I have also been waiting to see how things would go. I mean, there's so many people who have been talking about the movie. Jamaican people who just found out about Bob Marley, who just know who Bob Marley is, and people who have known about him their whole lives, right? So I grew up obviously knowing all about Bob Marley. I grew up in Barbados, and I mean his music is everywhere in it's just everywhere. So his music was it wasn't new to me, but I'll tell you, when I went and watched that movie in the theater, I went with my daughter, and we had a great time. And I tell you, I was singing because I know all the songs. I was just singing. And I was thinking to myself, am I the only one who's singing? Because I couldn't really hear anybody else singing. But of course, while the song's going on, it's loud. So you're not going to hear anybody else singing. So I don't know if anybody else was singing, but I was singing too. I was just singing, and that was that. I enjoyed myself. But anyways, so of course we know this movie is starring Kingsley Benadir. And let me just tell you, this guy is actually amazing. He kind of reminds me of his performance reminds me of what any of you who watched Austin Butler in the Elvis Presley movie, any of you who watched that and you thought that he did a good job, because some people don't, but I think he did an amazing job. He was Oscar nominated for that. He won a Golden Globe. He reminded me, his performance reminded me of what Austin Butler did in the Elvis Presley movie. I mean, this guy became Bob Marley. He was the essence of Bob Marley. Okay? So anybody who has anything bad to say about this movie, they're coming from it maybe from a different angle. I mean, I know there's a lot of Jamaican people who are upset because it wasn't a Jamaican who was playing the role of Bob Marley. And also, they had a lot of Jamaican people had a lot of problems with the movie. But in the end, I mean, the movie is actually a hit, and it has been the number one movie in America and a lot of other places as well for the last 2 weeks. So I think that just goes to show you, no matter what people are saying about the movie, a good movie will always bring out people. And then people have been going back to watch it as well. They watched it once, and then they're like, oh, you know what? I think I need to watch it again I missed certain things the first time around, and I'm going to go watch it again. That is precisely what I want to do. I definitely want to watch it again. And some of the people who were in this movie as well is Lashana Lynch. She played Rita Marley. James Norton played Chris Blackwell. They actually had a good few Jamaicans actually in the movie, so it's not true that it didn't have Jamaicans in there. And I think the movie really was done well. I enjoy the fact that it had all the music and all that in there. And that is one of the advantages of having the kids or the family involved in the movie. You can get all the rights to all the music and everything, and that was the good thing about it. One of the bad things about having the family involved so much is the fact that the family, they're not going to give you everything. So that's a problem. right? The family are not gonna, they want to make their patriarch, they want to make him seem, like they want to highlight all the good things about him, which, and there's so much good about Bob Marley. I mean, a lot of people say he was a prophet. I totally believe that. He was only 36 years old when he died, and he definitely lived his life in a way where he lived like a blazing fire, for sure, right? So he definitely knew that he was here for a purpose, and he didn't waste time. He definitely did what he was supposed to do. There's some people come on this earth and they're here for a reason, and you don't know why they live their life with urgency, and then you find out, when, if something happens and they're gone young, okay, this is why this person, lived with such urgency, because they didn't have a lot of time here on this earth. And so I believe that's what happened here with Bob Marley. He came on this earth for a reason. He definitely was a prophet for me, as far as I'm concerned, and he did his thing. But what I was saying as well, when the family is involved in the movie, they're not gonna necessarily want to paint him in any kind of different light, other than that he is the best all the time, always. But I mean, they did have a couple things in there, like the fight between him and Rita, right? Rita Marley. They did have, there was a little jealousy there. There was infidelity. They did kind of touch on that as well. But it didn't go all the way in, because we all know Bob Marley had, as far as we know, 11 children. Who knows if there's any more out there, but he had 11 children. My favorite is a Damian Marley. So Damien's my favorite, but this is controversial because Damien is Cindy Breakspear's son, right, with Bob Marley. So you say that, and Damian Marley is actually one of the most popular, and he's the one who won, a lot of Grammys and stuff like that. I mean, apart from Ziggy, I think Damien is one of the most popular, and he's my favorite. But his mother was barely mentioned in the movie. No, she wasn't really mentioned. She just was there in the background for a couple of scenes, and that was basically it. And so that was a little bit of a controversy, because Damien is actually one of the most popular of his sons, and they kind of scrubbed that story out. They didn't put in all the women and all that. The way that Bob Marley lived, he lived like he was married to Rita. And that is another controversy as well, because of, their relationship. And a lot of people are kind of being a little disrespectful and stuff as far as Rita was concerned. And, and I will give my opinion on this. I think they got married when they were really young. She showed him the way. She showed him a lot of things. It was because of her. Well, maybe not because, but she's the one who introduced him to the Rastafarian culture. She introduced him to that, and that, she was a Rasta before he was. She introduced him to that. And so I think he had a lot of reverence, and also because she kind of looked a little bit like his mother as well. Maybe that has something to do with it as well. I believe he did love her. Of course he did. They had 3 kids together, and they both had extramarital affairs, and they both had other kids, obviously. He adopted some of them as well. They lived a little different. And who are we to say whether or not this was the right way or the wrong way for, it's the right way for them. So they both made, they both did things on the side and had extra children and all that. But that is their this how their relationship worked. And he could have divorced her if he wanted to, but he didn't. I think he knew that his legacy was safe in her hands. And I also heard people were talking about the kids and stuff. One thing is for sure, one thing is for certain, Bob Marley took care of his kids. Bob Marley took care of his kids. So even if he had all these kids, he definitely made sure that all of them were provided for, because Rita made sure that, all the kids, are involved in like the family business and stuff. They're all the ones that sing, and they all sing the songs. They all meet up together. They are cohesive, and I mean, there was a little bit of a mix up as well when on Bob Marley's birthday, Cindy Breakspear did write a tweet, and she did say, that she misses him and all this, and she pretty much caused a little bit of a ruckus. A lot of people were coming after her because she had this tweet that was saying some really nice things about her and all the things that they did together, all the places they went together and all this stuff. And people thought it was disrespectful. But I don't know if it was disrespectful, because, I mean, she was a part of his life. She had a kid with him, and the kid turned out to be Damian Marley. Hello. So I think she was in all rights to say what she wanted to say. But of course, Ziggy came back and said, hey, Rita Marley, she took a bullet in the head for his father. And, he kind of, it could have been a problem, but hey, blended families, it's a blended family. There's always issues, but I don't think there was any issue with Ziggy and Damien and all that. I don't think there was any issues, but I think maybe, people are still defending. He was defending his mother. That's basically it. And I believe Damien is definitely going to defend his mother. So it is a thing. It's a blended family kind of thing. That's basically what it is, because even Cindy Breakspear, she was on an interview and she said out of her mouth, she said that in the end, it was her and Rita that was taking care of Bob, and they were feeding him. They were there while he was going through the pain and the agony of dying from cancer, guys. The two of them were taking turns in feeding him, taking care of him, keeping him warm, when he had to lose his dreads in the end, and all these things, they were there. So both of them were there. So they came together when they had to. And like I was saying, Bob Marley, he could have divorced Rita, but he didn't. And like I said, I think she reminded him of his mother a little bit. And she even said, Rita Marley even said she said this in an interview, that in the end, she kind of more became like a friend, a confidant, somebody that he knew he could trust, and he could leave his legacy in her hand, and she would do the right thing. And she did do the right thing, because all of the kids, they all come together, they do concerts together, they work together, they all sing his songs, whoever does singing, because there's a couple of them who doesn't sing, like Rohan Marley doesn't sing. There's a couple of them who don't sing, but I mean, some of them don't sing, but they can sing. So, it's actually an interesting, his life was actually very interesting. And I think the movie definitely touched on a lot of things. Some of them, a part of the movie that was an interesting thing, and this is a spoiler, was there was this dream sequence that happened at least 3 or 4 times throughout the movie. And in the beginning of the movie, we do see Bob Marley's father. We know he was a white man. And there's one picture of him that we see, and he is on a horse, basically. And in this dream sequence, we see young Bob Marley. He's about, I don't know, a young boy, like 4, 5, 6 years old. And he's running through this field. And he is surrounded by fire. And all the time we see this man on a horse. We keep seeing that throughout the movie. And then in the end of this, we all think, okay, it's his father. That's what we think, because it looked like his father from afar. And then in the end, it turns out to be Haile Selassie. And Haile Selassie, in case you don't know, he is the prophet of the Rastafari religion. He is the prophet for them. If you're a Christian, and your prophet is Jesus, right? The Rastafarian culture, Haile Selassie is their prophet. So in the end, because he was like a fatherless child, right? He didn't have, his father abandoned him. So in the end, we see that it was Haile Selassie that was standing there. And then he picked him up, he scooped him up. And then they kind of just go off into he saved him in the end, basically, from the fire and, all that he was going through. And I thought that was a beautiful part of the film. It was, like I told you, it was a spoiler alert. So in case if you didn't watch it, I told you before that it was a spoiler. But that was actually very comforting part of it, because this man died at 36 years old, right? He died at 36 years old. He left so many masterpieces for us. And the thing is, all his music is so relevant. His music is so relevant. The music never gets old. His music never gets old. And a lot of new people, a lot of young people, a lot younger people who didn't know much about Bob Marley, they're now exposed to him. And the movie has been #1 for the past couple of weeks, and I think it's going to continue its trajectory into being #1. And I believe, when it goes on to streaming, it will make a lot more money. It made over 100 million already, and its budget was about, let's see, I think the budget for the movie, and I did see it here, the budget was 70 million, and it made so far 120.6 million, and it's been a few weeks. So just a couple things about the movie. The running time is 104 minutes, guys. I think the movie was way too short. I don't know why they only made it 104 minutes. I think it should have been at least well, okay, let me see here. I think definitely, it's 104 minutes, yeah. But it could have been easily, they could have easily made it at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Because when it ended, I was like, is that it? I was like, I was actually salivating for more of this movie. So I actually wanted more. And that's not usual in a movie. You see a movie, you see the beginning, you see the middle, you see the end, and you accept it. I was thinking, that's too short. I wanted more. I think they should have made it into at least 2 hours. But let me tell you, I think Kingsley Benadir is going to be definitely getting a few awards here for his role here. He did an amazing job, right? He became Bob Marley. So, okay, so some of the Kingsley Benadir, Lashana Lynch, I apologize, James Norton, let me see what else here that's pertinent. Um, so yeah, I mean that those are the people who are in the movie more or less. And let me see. It was also produced by Robert Tattel, Dee Dee Gardner, Ziggy Marley, Rita Marley, Cedella Marley, Jeremy Kleiner, and I know as well. It was also it was distributed by Paramount Pictures. I mean, Brad Pitt is also a producer in the movie as well. So you know, it has a good backing. And yeah, I mean, listen, there was no way this movie was not gonna do well. I am actually surprised that there was never a Bob Marley movie done before. I'm like, what? What are people waiting for? I look forward to more Bob Marley movies. I don't want this to be just the one movie and that's it. I want to see a series, maybe on Netflix, because I have Netflix. I want to see a series here. And I also want them to explore his life more. I mean, his story is a fascinating story. It's fascinating, and I think it's unbelievable that he died in I think 1981, and it took so long for a movie to come. Right? It took so long. I'm like, what is happening here? I mean, the music alone is a movie. I mean, the music alone could have been a movie, guys. So, yeah. So I think this was a triumph, and I think, I mean, his life story is a triumph in my opinion, and what he did in his life is wow. But I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go see it again. And I implore you to go see it as well. Because you know, it's definitely an awakening. It's an awakening, and since I went to watch it, and I've been watching all the different documentaries and stuff about it, I have been listening to more of his music. I mean, the streams for his music went up, all these things. So I think it's amazing. And also, when you're at it, look for also his grandson, Skip Marley. Skip Marley is the splitting image of him, by the way. Talking about that, actually, the guy who played young Bob Marley, I mean, there was actually a little boy who played. There was like two different Bob Marleys. There was the little boy. Then it was when he was like a teenager, when he met Rita. So they all did an amazing job. All three of the Bob Marleys that were in the film, all three were amazing. So yeah, I just had to say that. But yeah, guys, go see the movie. It is really a great watch. If you love music and you love Bob Marley's music, you will be singing. But anyways, yeah, so remember, like, subscribe, and share. And thanks so much for listening and watching my review of the Bob Marley movie. And yeah, I can't wait to see what else they're going to do. Guys. Have a great one, guys. Bye.